Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. If you want to grab a Bible, we will be in the 24th proverb, beginning in the 30th verse. 24, beginning in verse 30. And we're going to see a topic that is not the first time that we have dealt with this issue in the book of Proverbs. It was obviously one that was very important in that time, important to God, and that is the issue of being lazy or slothful, as it's often called here in the book of Proverbs. And I guess laziness is something that has always been around and will always be around. I guess we'll always deal with it. So the writer of Proverbs here gives us a warning about that. And there's all kinds of forms of slothfulness. Those who just flat out won't work, who want the government or someone else to take care of them, or equally as bad as those who have a job, who for the most part wouldn't hit a lick at a snake unless the supervisor's watching them. And then all of a sudden they get busy. And so let's look at what God's Word says to us about being lazy. I went by the field of the slothful and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. And so he introduces this thought by saying, this is what I've noticed. I went by the garden. I went by the field of a lazy man. He didn't have, again, he says, any understanding. Went by his vineyard, and it was overgrown. It was filled up with thorns and weeds and just destroying his crop. And the lazy, might even say crazy, man went to the effort to plant the crops, but then was too lazy to tend to those crops to be able to have a good harvest. In addition, he says the stone wall that was built around the garden that was supposed to keep out any intruders, animals, those kind of things from damaging the garden. He says it's fallen down, and people and animals are coming in, unrestricted. And again, he's too lazy even to fix his wall. Verse 33, he says, here's what we learn. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. Here's the lesson. He says, lazy people, they will do without. They're going to be destitute. They're not going to be able to meet their needs. And again, what's really interesting about the picture of the man that we have here, as I said a while ago, a little lazy and crazy, because he's went to the trouble to prepare the fields. He's went to the trouble to get everything ready. He's went to the expense of buying seeds, plant, whatever, and starting his garden, but then he didn't have the get up and go to finish his garden. A little sleep, a little slumber. He wasn't willing to get up early and go do what needed to be done. A folding of the hands. He is a picture of a man sitting around just with his hands folded, idle, not working, and so. Again, as I said, I know the Bible doesn't use those words, but a little lazy and a little crazy. He's just, the biggest enemy he has is not the weeds or the thorns or the animals that are coming in through the broken wall, but it's himself. His own laziness is robbing him of his harvest. And we live in a world, and again, I think probably most of the people who are who are listening are probably a lot like me. I can remember, at a very young age, being given chores. I can remember, being woke up in the summer early to go with my daddy to do construction. I wasn't much at construction, but I was a real good toter. I was a go-getter. Go get this, go get that. I can remember waking up, in the summer, and there being a note on the kitchen table, hoe the corn, those kind of things. Most of us, and as soon as I was legally able, I went to work and got a job. But we know we live in a time. I was just talking to someone a moment ago about a friend of mine that runs a restaurant that has had to stop. Had to close, start not being able to open for breakfast because they can't find anybody who's willing to get up and come to work early and do the breakfast shift. So the warning we have here is against laziness. And one of the things that we need, I think, to take away from this as well is the responsibility we have as parents and grandparents as adults, to teach and model for our children the importance of labor and not being lazy. And again, it's obviously very important to God. As much text is devoted to it in the book of Proverbs. Something to think about today. We've all seen and experienced in the marketplace the damage that lazy employees have done. Let's avoid that, and let's teach those we influence to do better as well. You have a good day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.